Hey guys, welcome to video number 4. I call this one Gratitude. What am I most grateful for in 2017? What are you most grateful for in 2017? First off, I have to say the mentors that have guided me throughout this year. Authors, the Tom Billius, the Vishen Lakhianis of the world, and many and all authors of the books that I've read, including a lot of amazing friends that have helped guide me throughout my path and my journey. And I'm grateful for the change of mindset that I adopted this year. But mostly I am grateful for taking the time to ask myself the tough questions. Like, why was my life not working the way I wanted it? Why was I not where I had originally intended to be? Why were certain patterns still showing up? Certain negative patterns still showing up? Why? And who's at fault? See, I always thought I was someone who's taken ownership of their lives. But that wasn't always the case. There were so many deeply imprinted behavioral patterns within me that I was completely unaware that in certain fields I lacked ownership, and so I started asking myself some very deep questions, and I sat down with pen and paper and wrote down these answers. And the power of writing things down, let me tell you, was just transformational, really. So I'll give you one example. Although my intention is to be completely vulnerable here, I would just be completely exposed if I showed you everything or talked about everything that is that I journaled about this year. But suffice to say, this is a big one. So I started with, why did I have such a history of short-term relationships? For those of you who know me, my longest relationship has been something like 4 months, and I usually jump ship after a couple months. And why was that? What happened in the past that led me to, that has created this pattern where I just pick up my things and go? And I started looking at, okay, well, it's because I've always been fixed on the negative aspects of a person and thinking that can't change. And so, but then I started looking deeper. I'm like, and I got to the point where it was clear that it was because I didn't want to hurt them, probably masked by hurting them, really hurting myself. So not letting the relationship grow to a point where it will hurt more once that relationship is over. So I started looking at that, and I said, okay, well, what are some examples in the past where I've really, been traumatized by causing hurt or having hurt, or feeling hurt. And although I've been through a lot of heartaches and hardships through relationships with women, nothing really stood out. And I kept asking, well, where is this? And it brought me back to this very traumatic car accident that I've had in my teens, and where a lot of my friends that were in the vehicle were seriously injured. And it was my parents' vehicle. I wasn't driving, but either way, I felt responsible for it. And until that point, I was a good student, a good enough athlete, and kind of a model student. And I thought I was doing everything right, and by pleasing everybody or being the best version of myself. And I felt betrayed at that point by God. Funny enough, a good Christian boy that I was. I felt betrayed by God, because even though we were in a car and some of us had been drinking, I still gave the wheel over to somebody who wasn't drinking, and I was just creating good times for my friends. So I was doing everything right. Even in that state of mind, I was doing everything right. So how could I be so betrayed? How could God do this to me, right? And when once that happened, I took those feelings of betrayal, and I pushed them against, or I put them upon. I lashed out at my parents. I shut myself off from them after that, and our relationship was never the same throughout my teens after that. So, all this to say was that I remember lashing out at my mother a lot during those times, and feeling very. I was in a world I was in a really bad mental space and spiritual space, and I felt at the same, even though I was lashing out, and you know, I was challenging my parents on their decisions they've made in life, and on how, you know, my small town was suffocating me, and blah 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 blah, and every problem under the sun I was experiencing, and I put them through it, and I brought them along with me. And I remember feeling very conflicted, because at the amount of pain I was causing my parents back then, and especially my mom. And so I think it's because I've never forgiven myself for hurting the first woman that ever loved me, that I have always never wanted to hurt a woman the way I did my mother back then. And that's, to me, was that thread of introspection. That's where it led me. And to come to that realization that it was because I had not forgiven myself for that, was a very powerful realization that I've had this year. And so I encourage you guys to look deep within you and follow the trail of whys into your behavioral patterns, and you'll find some amazing stuff. Like how I made that connection, to me, would have never been made without meditation, first of all, and without journaling and writing stuff down and asking yourself the big questions. So that's what I'm most grateful for this year, is that I took the time to ask myself the big question. I'm still doing it. There's still parts of me that I know I'm holding back on, and I can't be the best version of myself without first going back and through that closet and uncovering the skeletons, right? So I think for 2017, that's my biggest gratitude was the discoveries I found through meditation and journaling and asking yourselves the tough questions. So I encourage you guys to do so. And if you have, please share and let me know what you've found out, and if this video has brought value to you or has made you think, what the, well, you can reach out and let me know, and comment below, and we'll keep in touch. All right. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in video number 5, what I wish for in 2018. Ciao.